My wife posted that husbands are replaceable on Facebook. I withdrew our cruise money, bought a Camaro, exposed the disrespect, and reclaimed my power. My wife had posted on Facebook, "Some husbands think they are irreplaceable." The post already had 12 likes and 3 laughing emojis within minutes. I stared at the screen, reading it again. This was not some random observation or sharing a meme. This was a direct shot aimed at me, posted while I was at work, for all our friends and family to see. The same friends who would be joining us on our anniversary cruise next month. The same family members who had watched us exchange vows 7 years ago. I scrolled through the comments. Her sister had already chimed in with, "Preach, girl," followed by clapping hands emojis. 2 of her co-workers had left supportive messages. Each notification felt like another slap across the face, delivered publicly and deliberately. What made it worse was the timing. We had had a discussion the night before about household responsibilities. Nothing heated, nothing dramatic. I had simply mentioned that I handled most of the financial planning while she took care of social events. Apparently, that conversation had transformed overnight into ammunition for public humiliation. I leaned back in my office chair, processing what I was seeing. This was not the first time she had made passive-aggressive comments, but posting something this direct on social media crossed a line. She was essentially telling the world that I was dispensable, replaceable, nothing special. My fingers hovered over the keyboard. I could have called her, confronted her privately, demanded an explanation. That is probably what she expected. A defensive reaction, maybe a heated argument that would give her more material for her next post. Instead, I typed 4 words, "You are absolutely right." I hit post and immediately put my phone away. I let her and her cheerleading squad figure out what that meant. Within 30 seconds, my phone started buzzing with notifications, but I ignored them completely. The rest of my workday took on a different quality. Every email I sent, every meeting I attended, every decision I made felt sharper, more focused. By the time I left the office, I had already made my first major decision. I drove straight to the bank instead of heading home. Our joint savings account showed the balance I expected, $8,000 earmarked for the anniversary cruise we had been planning for months. The cruise she was so excited about, the one she had been posting countdown updates for on her Instagram stories. "I would like to transfer this amount to my personal checking account," I told the teller, sliding the withdrawal slip across the counter. "Will your spouse need to authorize this transfer?" she asked, glancing at the joint account information. "No authorization needed. Both names are on the account with full access rights." 20 minutes later, the money was moved. I sat in my car afterward, looking at my phone. 17 notifications from her post, but I did not open a single one. Instead, I pulled up Google and started researching something I had been considering for months, but never had the excuse to pursue. The Chevrolet dealership was still open when I arrived. The Camaro SS I had been admiring during my lunch break sat in the front row, midnight black with silver racing stripes. The same car I had mentioned wanting when we first got married, back when she used to laugh and say, "Someday, when we are rich." The salesman approached with the enthusiasm of someone who had been waiting for a serious buyer all day. I had done my research months ago during those lunch breaks, so I knew exactly what I wanted and what it would cost. "That is a beautiful machine," he said, patting the hood. "Do you want to take it for a test drive? Actually, I want to buy it tonight." His eyebrows shot up. "Tonight? Well, that is what I like to hear. Do you have financing in place or a cash down payment? I can have the rest financed through my credit union by tomorrow morning." An hour and a half later, I was signing papers. The down payment was exactly 75% of our cruise money. The remaining balance would be covered by financing, but at my credit score, the monthly payment was manageable, even on my income alone. I drove the Camaro home slowly, savoring the rumble of the engine and the feel of the steering wheel in my hands. This was not about the car itself. This was about making a statement as clear and direct as her Facebook post. When I pulled into our driveway, she was standing at the living room window. I could see her silhouette against the lamplight, and I knew she had been watching for my usual sedan. Instead, she was seeing something completely different. I parked the Camaro where my old car usually sat and took my time getting out. The engine noise had probably announced my arrival to half the neighborhood. Perfect. She met me at the front door before I could even reach for my keys. "Whose car is that?" she demanded. "Mine." "What do you mean, yours? What happened to your car?" "Traded it in. Part of the down payment." She stared at me, then looked past me at the Camaro, then back at me again. "Down payment for what? We did not discuss buying a new car. We are saving for the cruise." I walked past her into the house, loosening my tie. Actually, we are not saving for the cruise anymore. I canceled it this afternoon. You what? Canceled the cruise. Got most of our deposit back, which covered the rest of the down payment. She followed me into the kitchen, her voice rising. You cannot just cancel our anniversary cruise. I have been planning this for months. I already told everyone we are going. I opened the refrigerator and pulled out a beer. Not a light beer, not some trendy craft brew she had picked up at Whole Foods, but a regular Budweiser. I cracked it open and took a long drink before responding. You told everyone a lot of things today, including the fact that husbands think they are irreplaceable. Well, you were absolutely right. Some husbands do think that. It turns out some anniversary cruises think they are irreplaceable too. Her mouth opened and closed twice before she found her voice again. That post was not about you specifically. It was just a general observation, posted while I was at work, right after our conversation last night, with your sister and coworkers cheering you on in the comments. I took another sip of beer. Yeah, definitely not about me. She crossed her arms, switching tactics. So, your solution is to make a major purchase without discussing it with me? That is mature. Mature? I repeated the word slowly, like I was tasting it. You know what is mature? Handling disagreements privately, instead of posting passive-aggressive messages on social media for everyone we know to see and comment on. I finished my beer and set the empty bottle on the counter. The car is registered in my name, financed through my credit union using money from our joint account that both of us had legal access to. Everything completely above board and transparent, unlike some other recent activities. She stood there silent for a moment, and I could see her mind working, trying to figure out her next move. This was not going the way she had expected. Her little Facebook drama was supposed to make me apologetic, defensive, eager to prove my worth. Instead, she was staring at a husband who just spent $8,000 on a sports car without blinking. We need to talk about this properly, she finally said. We are talking about it, unless you meant we need to discuss it on Facebook where everyone can weigh in with their opinions and emojis. I walked toward the hallway, then paused. By the way, I am thinking of posting some pictures of the new car tomorrow. You know how social media works. People love commenting on posts. The next morning, I woke up before my alarm and found her side of the bed empty. She was already in the kitchen, nursing a cup of coffee and scrolling through her phone with the intensity of someone monitoring a crisis. Sleep well? I asked, pouring myself coffee from the pot she had made. She looked up with dark circles under her eyes. People are asking questions about your comment yesterday. What kind of questions? They want to know what you meant by "you are absolutely right." Some of them think you were being sarcastic. I added cream to my coffee and stirred slowly. Were they wrong? She set her phone down harder than necessary. This is not a game. My family is asking if we are having problems. Are we having problems? I asked, genuinely curious to hear her answer. We were not. Until you decided to buy a sports car and cancel our vacation without discussing it with me. I finished my coffee and rinsed the mug in the sink. Funny. I thought our problem started when you decided to publicly announce that I am replaceable without discussing it with me. Before she could respond, I grabbed my keys and headed for the garage. The Camaro started with a satisfying rumble that echoed off the walls. As I backed out, I could see her watching from the kitchen window again. The drive to work felt completely different. The car handled like it was designed for someone who knew exactly where they were going and how fast they wanted to get there. At red lights, I caught other drivers glancing over, and a few gave approving nods. During my lunch break, instead of eating at my desk like usual, I drove to a detailing shop downtown. The owner, a guy in his 50s with grease-stained hands and keen eyes, looked the Camaro over like he was appraising a piece of art. She is beautiful. You want the full treatment, everything you have got. Paint protection, interior conditioning, the works. That will run you about $400. Do it. While I waited, I walked to a men's clothing store I had passed 100 times, but never entered. The kind of place that sold actual fitted shirts instead of the generic department store button-downs I usually wore. The salesperson, a sharp-dressed guy about my age, sized me up immediately, looking for something specific, work clothes that do not look like work clothes. 20 minutes later, I had 3 new shirts, 2 pairs of pants, and a leather jacket that cost more than I usually spent on clothes in 6 months. But when I looked in the fitting room mirror, I saw someone who owned a Camaro SS, not someone who apologized for wanting one. When I picked up the car, it looked like it had just rolled off the showroom floor. The black paint was so deep you could see your reflection perfectly, and the interior smelled like expensive leather conditioner. I drove back to work slowly, taking a route that passed several restaurants and shops where people I knew might spot me. At a red light, I pulled out my phone and took a quick selfie. Nothing dramatic, just me in the driver's seat, wearing one of the new shirts, sunglasses on, looking like I belonged exactly where I was. I posted it on Instagram with a simple caption, "New Perspectives." Within minutes, the likes started rolling in. CO workers, old friends from college, even some people I had not talked to in years. But the comments that caught my attention were from her friends. "Looking good. Is this your midlife crisis car?" From her college roommate. "Very nice ride. Does she know you bought this?" From her sister. And then the one that made me smile, "Are you single?" Asking for a friend. From one of her workout buddies. I did not respond to any of them. I just let the post sit there, collecting reactions. That evening, I stopped at Target for some basic necessities and ran into our neighbor from 3 houses down. She had always been friendly but professional, in that suburban way where you wave from driveways and chat about weather. "Is that your car in the parking lot?" she asked, pushing her cart alongside mine. "The Camaro?" "Yeah, just picked it up yesterday. It is gorgeous. I saw you pull out this morning and thought someone was visiting." She paused, seeming to consider her next words. "Going through any major life changes?" The question was innocent enough, but her tone suggested she had seen the Facebook drama, or heard about it through the neighborhood grapevine. "Just decided it was time to make some investments in myself." She nodded approvingly. "Good for you. Life is too short to drive boring cars." When I got home, the Camaro's arrival in the driveway caused the same stir as the night before. This time, our next-door neighbor was watering his lawn and gave me an enthusiastic thumbs up. "Sweet ride. What has she got under the hood?" I spent 10 minutes talking horsepower and torque specs, 2 subjects I had researched extensively during those lunch break fantasies. By the time we finished talking, I noticed curtains twitching in several windows along the street. Inside the house, she was sitting at the kitchen table with her laptop open and several printouts spread around her. "What is all this?" I asked. "Cruise information. I am trying to figure out if we can rebook for later in the year, maybe get a partial refund and apply it to a different package." I sat down across from her and looked at the papers. Tropical destinations, romantic dinners, couples activities, all the things we had planned together back when we were planning things together. Why would we rebook? Because it is our anniversary cruise. We have been talking about it for months. You have been talking about it for months. I have been paying for it for months. She looked up from the laptop. "That is not fair. We both wanted this trip." "Did we? Or did you want the trip, and I wanted to make you happy?" The distinction seemed to hit her harder than I had expected. She closed the laptop and leaned back in her chair. "I do not understand what is happening here. Yesterday we were a normal married couple with some minor issues to work through. Today you are acting like I am some kind of enemy." I pulled out my phone and showed her the Instagram post. 37 likes and counting, including several from your friends asking if I am available. Her face flushed red as she read through the comments. "They are just being stupid. You know how people are on social media?" "Yeah, I am learning a lot about how people are on social media." She scrolled through the comments, her expression darkening with each one she read. "This is exactly what I am talking about. You are posting pictures designed to get attention from other women. I posted a picture of myself in my new car. If other women find that attractive, that is not really my fault, is it? You know exactly what you are doing." I leaned forward. "You are absolutely right. I know exactly what I am doing, just like you knew exactly what you were doing when you posted that husbands are replaceable." She set the phone down and rubbed her temples. "Can we please just have a normal conversation about this without all the social media drama and the passive-aggressive car purchases? This is normal. This is me treating our marriage exactly like you demonstrated it should be treated. Public, performative, and designed to get reactions from other people." I stood up and headed toward the stairs. "I am going to shower. Try not to post anything about our conversation while I am upstairs." By Friday, the Instagram post had exploded beyond anything I had expected. 68 likes, 23 comments, and my phone was buzzing with direct messages from people I had not heard from in years. The most interesting development was watching her friend's behavior evolve in real time. What started as innocent questions had shifted into something more direct. Her workout buddy had followed up her original comment with a private message. "Seriously though, everything okay at home? You look really good lately." I screenshot the message and saved it, along with several others that had crossed similar lines. Not because I planned to use them as weapons, but because they perfectly illustrated the point I was making. At work, the attention was becoming impossible to ignore. The Camaro had its own following in the parking lot. People would walk by during breaks just to look at it, and I had fielded a dozen conversations about performance specs, financing options, and where I had bought it. My project manager, a straight-talking woman in her 40s, cornered me by the coffee machine Friday morning. Nice car. Going through a divorce? Why does everyone assume the car means divorce? Because married men do not usually drop $8,000 on sports cars without warning their wives first, unless they are planning to not be married much longer. I stirred my coffee thoughtfully. What if the wife publicly announced that husbands are replaceable? Oh. She nodded like puzzle pieces were clicking into place. So, this is strategic, not impulsive. Everything I do is strategic. Good. Impulsive would be stupid. Strategic might actually work. That afternoon, I decided to test just how strategic I could be. Instead of eating lunch at my desk, I drove to the upscale shopping center where she and her friends usually met for their Friday afternoon coffee dates. I parked the Camaro right outside the Starbucks window where I could see her sitting with 3 other women. I did not go inside. I just sat in the car, checking emails on my phone, letting them get a good look at the situation. Through the window, I could see the exact moment they noticed me. One of them pointed and all 4 heads turned. Then came the animated discussion with gestures toward the car and what appeared to be very intense conversation. My phone buzzed with a text from her. "What are you doing here?" I replied, getting coffee. "Is that allowed? You do not even drink Starbucks." I am expanding my horizons, trying new things. You know how that goes. I waited another 5 minutes, long enough for her friends to get a complete view of the car and my apparent comfort with the situation, then drove to the Dunkin' across the street. Through their window, I could see the Starbucks table still engaged in what looked like crisis management discussions. When I got home that evening, she was waiting with the intensity of someone who had spent all afternoon preparing for battle. My friends think we are getting divorced. What gave them that impression? The car, the Instagram posts, the fact that you showed up at our coffee date like you were making some kind of statement. I loosened my tie and sat down across from her. What kind of statement would that be? That you do not care what I think, that you are already moving on, that you want other women to see you as available. Interesting theory. What do you think? She leaned forward, her voice rising. I think you are trying to punish me for one stupid Facebook post that did not mean anything. One post that currently has 43 comments from people we both know. Most of them agreeing that husbands are indeed replaceable, and sharing their own stories about disappointing marriages. Her face went pale. You have been reading all the comments, every single one. Fascinating stuff. Your college roommate shared 3 paragraphs about her ex-husband's failures. Your cousin added a story about how her boyfriend thinks he is God's gift to women. Your CO worker from the dentist office contributed an entire essay about men who do not appreciate what they have. I pulled out my phone and scrolled to her original post. 43 comments. 87 reactions, and 12 shares. That is a lot of engagement for someone who claims it did not mean anything. She sat back in her chair, deflated. I did not know it would blow up like that, but you knew it would get reactions. That was the point, was it not? To get public validation that I am the problem in this marriage. That is not what I wanted. Then what did you want? She was quiet for a long moment, staring at her hands. I wanted you to care more about us, about what I was feeling. So, you decided to humiliate me publicly to get my attention. I did not think you would see it as humiliation. I thought you would see it as a wake-up call. I set my phone on the table and leaned back. Well, it definitely woke me up, just not in the direction you were hoping for. The car thing is getting out of hand. People are talking. People were already talking, now they are just talking, about different things. My phone buzzed with another Instagram notification. The selfie from earlier in the week had picked up more comments overnight, including several from women I did not recognize, who had found the post through mutual friends. Look at this, I said, showing her the latest comment. Someone named Jessica says, I have excellent taste in cars and life choices. She is friends with your sister, apparently. She grabbed the phone to read the full comment thread. These women do not even know you. They know enough. Successful guy, nice car, takes care of himself. That is more information than your Facebook post provided about me. This is insane. You are encouraging complete strangers to flirt with you online. I am not encouraging anything. I posted a picture of myself in my car. If women find that attractive, that says something about the car, the picture, or maybe both. She scrolled through more comments, her expression growing more frustrated with each one. Half of these women are asking if you are single. And what did you tell your friends when they asked the same question at coffee today? I told them we are working through some issues. Issues? I repeated the word slowly. That is an interesting way to describe your public announcement that I am replaceable. She set the phone down and looked directly at me for the first time in the conversation. What do you want from me? An apology? Fine. I am sorry I posted that. I am sorry it hurt your feelings. Can we move past this now? My feelings are not hurt. My expectations have just been recalibrated. What does that mean? It means I finally understand how you see this marriage, and I am adjusting my behavior accordingly. She stared at me for a moment, then stood up abruptly. I am going to bed. This conversation is going nowhere. That is fine. I have some more Instagram posts to work on anyway. She paused in the doorway. What kind of posts? The Camaro looks amazing in different lighting. I am thinking about doing a whole series. Maybe some action shots this weekend. Action shots? Yeah, actually driving it. Maybe some scenic routes. The mountains have great backdrops this time of year. Her knuckles were white where she gripped the doorframe. Are you planning to drive up there alone? I have not decided yet. Why? Because people will think you are available if you keep posting pictures of yourself doing interesting things without me in them. I smiled for the first time all week. You are absolutely right. People might think exactly that. Saturday morning arrived with a kind of tension that makes even coffee taste different. She was already dressed and sitting at the kitchen table when I came downstairs. Her laptop open and bank statements spread across the surface. We need to talk about money, she announced without looking up. Good morning to you too. I have been going through our accounts, the cruise cancellation, the car purchase, the $800 you spent on clothes and car detailing. She gestured at the papers like evidence in a trial. You have spent over $9,000 in 3 days without consulting me. I poured coffee and sat down across from her. I spent money from our joint account, which has both our names on it. Money I earned from my job for purchases that are registered in my name. That is not the point. What is the point? The point is that married couples discuss major purchases. They do not just unilaterally decide to blow their vacation savings on a midlife crisis car. I took a sip of coffee and studied her face. The dark circles under her eyes had deepened, and there was a tightness around her mouth that suggested she had been rehearsing this conversation. Midlife crisis, I repeated. That is interesting terminology. Is that your diagnosis, or did you crowdsource that opinion from your Facebook friends? Do not deflect. We are talking about financial responsibility, are we? Because I thought we were talking about how you are upset that I made decisions without asking your permission first. She leaned forward, her voice taking on the patient tone she used when she thought I was being deliberately dense. I am upset that you are acting like a teenager, throwing money around, posting pictures to get attention from other women, ignoring the consequences of your actions. Consequences. I set my mug down carefully. Let us talk about consequences. I pulled out my phone and navigated to her original Facebook post. This post has been shared 14 times now. 14 different people thought your observation about replaceable husbands was worth broadcasting to their own social networks. So what? So, your sister shared it with a comment about how some men need to hear this. Your CO worker shared it with 3 laughing emojis. Your college roommate shared it with her own paragraph about men who take their wives for granted. She crossed her arms. People agreed with me. That does not make it wrong. You are right. It does not make it wrong. It makes it public. It makes it permanent. It makes it a statement about our marriage that has now been seen by literally hundreds of people. I scrolled through the share notifications, reading names aloud, friends of friends, distant relatives, people I work with who follow your sister. All of them now have access to your opinion that husbands like me think we are irreplaceable. You are being dramatic. Am I? Because I ran into my project manager's wife at the grocery store yesterday. She asked me how I was handling everything. When I asked what she meant, she mentioned seeing something online about marriage troubles. The color drained from her face. She saw the post. She saw one of the shares from someone in her book club who is friends with your cousin.
Oh God is right. Because now I'm getting pitying looks from co-workers who think my wife is publicly complaining about me.
I am getting messages from women who think I am available, and I am having conversations about my marriage with people who should not even know we are having problems. She buried her face in her hands. I did not think it would spread like that. But you did think. You thought about how to word it for maximum impact. You thought about timing it while I was at work. You thought about which friends would respond with support. What you did not think about was how it would affect me, or our marriage, or our reputation. I was frustrated. People post things when they are frustrated. People post things when they want attention. You got attention. Congratulations. I stood up and walked to the window, looking out at the Camaro sitting in our driveway. You want to talk about consequences? Here are the consequences. I bought a car that makes me happy instead of planning a vacation that makes you happy. I am getting attention from women instead of apologizing for disappointing you. I am making decisions based on what I want instead of what keeps you from posting complaints about me online. That is not what I want, is it? Because your actions say otherwise. She looked up at me with tears in her eyes, and I recognized the expression. This was the moment in previous arguments where I would have softened, where I would have sat back down and worked towards some kind of compromise that made her feel better. Instead, I finished my coffee. I do not want to be married to someone who solves problems by complaining about me on Facebook, I said calmly. It was one post. It was a public statement about how you see me in our marriage. One post that told everyone we know that I am replaceable, that I think too highly of myself, that I do not meet your expectations as a husband. I rinsed my mug in the sink and turned to face her, so I decided to find out if you were right. Maybe I am replaceable. Maybe some other woman would appreciate having a husband who works hard, pays the bills, and buys sports cars instead of apologizing for wanting them. You are talking about divorce. I am talking about reality. You opened this door when you decided to air our problems publicly. You do not get to control what walks through it. She wiped her eyes with the back of her hand. I will delete the post. It has been shared 14 times. Deleting it now will not unshare it. The damage is done. Then what do you want me to do? I grabbed my keys from the counter. I want you to understand that actions have consequences, real consequences. Not Facebook consequences or Instagram consequences, but real-life consequences that affect real people in real marriages.
Where are you going?
For a drive to think about whether I want to keep being married to someone who thinks I am replaceable. Do not leave like this. We can work through this. I paused at the door leading to the garage. Can we? Because working through problems usually involves discussing them privately, not broadcasting them for public entertainment and validation. I said I was sorry. You said you were sorry it hurt my feelings. That is not the same thing as being sorry you did it. I opened the garage door and started the Camaro. As I backed out, I could see her standing at the kitchen window again. But this time, her expression was different. This time, she looked scared. I drove for 3 hours that Saturday, taking mountain roads I had never explored before. The Camaro handled every curve perfectly, and for the first time in weeks, my mind felt clear. When I stopped for lunch at a roadside diner, I took another photo. Me at a scenic overlook, the car gleaming in the background, mountains stretching to the horizon. I posted it with the caption, "Sometimes you need new perspectives to see clearly." Within an hour, it had more engagement than any photo I had ever posted. The comments ranged from admiring the scenery, to asking about the car, to more direct inquiries about my availability. One comment particularly caught my attention. Whoever she is lucky to have someone who knows how to live life. I did not correct the assumption. When I got home that evening, her mother's car was in the driveway. Through the living room window, I could see both of them sitting on the couch, deep in conversation. I parked the Camaro and took my time walking to the front door. They both looked up when I entered, their faces showing the exact expression of women who had been discussing the situation for hours. "Hello, sweetheart," her mother said with the kind of forced cheerfulness that meant she was about to deliver an intervention. "Evening. How is everyone doing?" "We are concerned," her mother continued, "about this phase you are going through. The car, the social media posts, the sudden changes. It is very unlike you." I sat down in the chair across from them. "Unlike the me you are used to, maybe." "Honey," she said, jumping in, "I have been explaining to Mom that we are just having some communication issues, nothing that cannot be worked out with some counseling." "Counseling?" I repeated. "That is your solution?" "It is a starting point, a way to get back to normal." Her mother nodded enthusiastically. "Marriage counseling saved my sister's marriage. Sometimes couples just need help remembering what they love about each other." I looked at both of them, these women who had clearly spent hours developing this strategy. "What makes you think I want to get back to normal?" The question hung in the air for a moment. Her mother's forced smile faltered. "Because that is what married people do," she said. "They work through problems. Even when one person publicly announces that the other is replaceable." Her mother's face flushed. "That post was taken out of context. By who?" "The 43 people who commented. The 14 who shared it. The hundreds who have seen it by now. Social media is not real life," her mother said weakly. "Tell that to my co-workers who have been asking if I am okay. Tell that to the women who are messaging me because they think I am available. Tell that to everyone in our social circle who now knows we are having marriage problems because your daughter decided to share them online." I stood up and walked to the mantel, looking at our wedding photos from 7 years ago, smiling and hopeful. surrounded by family and friends who believed we had figured out how to make it work. You know what is interesting? I said, turning back to them. Not once in this conversation has anyone acknowledged that posting that message was wrong. It has been explained, justified, minimized, and blamed on frustration, but no one has said it was wrong to do. It was wrong, she said quietly. I know it was wrong. Do you? Because an hour ago you told your mother it was taken out of context. Last night you said it did not mean anything. Wednesday you said I was being too sensitive. Her mother shifted uncomfortably. Everyone makes mistakes. Some mistakes are private, some mistakes are public. Some mistakes reveal how someone really feels about their marriage. My phone buzzed with another Instagram notification. I glanced at it and saw that the mountain photo had crossed 50 likes. People are really responding to your posts, her mother observed, clearly having seen my phone screen. They are mostly women, she added pointedly. Mostly? That does not concern you? I looked directly at her. Should it? Your daughter posted that husbands think they are irreplaceable. These women seem to disagree with that assessment. The room fell silent, except for the tick of the wall clock. Finally, she spoke up. What do you want from me? I have apologized. I have offered counseling. I have admitted I was wrong. What else can I do? I do not know, I said honestly. But I know what you cannot do. You cannot unpost that message. You cannot take back the public humiliation. You cannot undo the damage to our reputation or our marriage. I headed toward the stairs. Maybe some things really are irreplaceable after all. Sunday morning, I woke up to find her mother gone, and the house unusually quiet. She was in the kitchen again, but this time without her laptop, without bank statements, without any props for another confrontation, just sitting with a cup of coffee, staring out the window. We need to make a decision, I said, pouring my own coffee. I know. Do you? Because for the past week you have been treating this like a temporary problem that we can manage, or fix, or counsel our way through. She turned to look at me directly. What kind of decision? The kind that determines whether we are married to each other, or just living in the same house. I want to stay married to who? To the husband who apologizes for wanting things? To the guy who asks permission before making purchases with his own money? To someone who pretends your Facebook drama did not happen? To you, the real you. I sat down across from her. This is the real me. The guy who bought a sports car, who posts pictures that get attention, who does not tolerate being disrespected publicly. If you wanted to stay married to someone else, you should have married someone else. You have changed. I have stopped pretending that making you happy is more important than respecting myself. She was quiet for a long moment, processing this. The Instagram posts, the car showing up at my coffee date. You are trying to make me jealous. I am trying to make you understand consequences. You posted that husbands are replaceable. I'm showing you what replacing me would actually look like. Other women flirting with you online. Other women appreciating what you take for granted. That is not fair. Fair? I pulled out my phone and showed her the mountain photo from yesterday. 67 likes, 28 comments. Most of them from women who think I'm attractive, successful, and worth their attention. Women who see value in a man who drives a nice car and knows how to enjoy life. I scrolled through the comments. Here is one from Jessica, living your best life. Here is another from someone named Amanda, gorgeous car, gorgeous view. And here is my favorite from your workout buddy. Some women do not know how good they have it. Her face went pale. She said that, along with asking if you and I were having problems because apparently I look happier in photos than I have in months. I never meant for this to happen, but it did happen. And now you get to see what your husband looks like when he is not worried about disappointing you. I finished my coffee and set the mug aside. Here is what is going to happen. I am keeping the car. I am keeping the new clothes. I am keeping the confidence that comes from knowing I do not need anyone's permission to live my life. And us? That depends on whether you can live with being married to someone who will not be taken for granted anymore. What does that mean practically? It means no more public complaints about our marriage. It means no more passive-aggressive social media posts designed to embarrass me. It means if you have a problem with me, you discuss it with me, not with the internet. Okay? It means I make decisions about my time, my money, and my interests without asking for approval. You get input, not veto power. That is not how marriage works. It is how this marriage is going to work or not work, if you prefer. She stared at me for a long time, and I could see her weighing her options. Stay married to a man who would not be controlled, or start over with someone who might be more malleable. And if I cannot accept those terms, then you were right. Some husbands are replaceable, and some wives are too. You would really divorce me over a Facebook post? I divorce you over what that Facebook post revealed about how you see me in our marriage. The post was just the symptom. She sat back in her chair, the weight of the decision settling on her shoulders. I do not want a divorce. Then you do not want a divorce. But you also do not get the old version of me back. That guy was too worried about keeping you happy to notice that you were not worried about keeping him happy. I stood up and grabbed my keys. I am going for another drive. When I get back, you can let me know whether you want to be married to who I actually am, or whether you would prefer to keep looking for someone replaceable. As I backed the Camaro out of the driveway, I saw her watching from the window one more time. But this time, I was not the one wondering what would happen next. Our story has come to an end. If you have made it this far, how about subscribing to our channel? It helps us immensely. I have selected 2 other videos for you that I am sure you will enjoy.